What is up, everybody, and welcome back to 2xTheGrind. We are on episode 15, if you believe it or not. Episode 15, which is really cool. Like, I say this every single time I feel like we come on the podcast. I'm like, oh, episode 13. Oh, episode 14. Oh, episode 15. Wow. But no, it's a little mini achievement, I feel like, as we go along and through all of the episodes, and I'm super proud. I'm proud every time. PJ, welcome to the table.
Thank you.
Welcome to my podcast. Joking. Folks, thank you so much for bearing with us without any video footage. We're actually going through the transition of getting to the basement.
Big move.
So big move, but we've got our audio equipment ready.
Episode 16 should hopefully, potentially, possibly,
maybe
be on the new setup.
Granted. No, we don't know. Potentially, it actually might be. So that's really cool. Now, you might be wondering what coffee we're going to be drinking today. And actually, we've got something a little bit different, actually. We didn't brew ourselves this time. We thought we'd go for something that everyone has easy access to. And we'd go for our go-to order and see what you guys think, if you guys want to try it as well. It is a little ASMR for you. That is a wonderful Starbucks order of, it's a vanilla bean sweet cream cold brew. It's a grande, so it's like a classic medium. And I've got to say, for the calories, it's pretty damn tasty.
Why did you have to say what size it was?
Just so people can, because no one can see. I'm describing.
As if it like changes the flavor.
I'm going to tell them the calories. So it's 110 calories for this drink. And I would just say, like, if people are looking for something that tastes really good, but they are worried about, like, because, coffee, there's a lot of stuff in Starbucks that is very calorific coffee-wise, and obviously it's delicious, but lots of people actually get caught out on their, like, fitness goals because they're drinking things that are like a full meal.
Drinking a lot of calories.
Yeah, so, like, they forget that. So if people are also looking for that fix of deliciousness and you're on the go and you haven't got time to brew your own coffee, I would say, like, the cold brews in Starbucks are really, really delicious.
You know what I think everyone should do? Obviously, we'll rate this coffee at the end. It's our usual go-to for the two of us now. But leave your Starbucks order. We all go to Starbucks. We all have it.
Good one, babe.
Actually, I don't know if we all have it.
I would love to know that.
Royal 2 probably does. I think he's got like Tim Hortons or something over there in Canada. But no, it'd be cool. See everyone's order, everyone's go-to,
I would love that. I think that's a fantastic idea.
We talked about this in one of the podcasts. Some people get crazy.
Some people do get crazy.
You.
I will say,
I will judge you, but I respect it.
I will say, though, if you are listening on Spotify or iTunes, tweet us. If you do have our social media, we have it in the descriptions of our podcasts. Tweet us at 2xTheGrind on Twitter. Leave a comment on Instagram if you fancy it as well. We also have the same username on Instagram. Write to us on email. We have all of that kind of linked down in the description of the podcast itself on iTunes and Spotify. We want to hear from you guys as well. We love you guys over there on the pure ear listeners.
Leave a like.
Yeah, leave a like.
Or
leave
I guess for a rating.
It's a rating.
We actually have been going up a lot on Spotify and iTunes, haven't we? That's really cool. I find that really awesome. We
have, and actually we've had 10 ratings as well, 5 stars, which has been so great.
We appreciate that.
I see it all, and I love it. Thank you so much for supporting us.
It's fascinating.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's fascinating. I tell you what is more fascinating. That's what we're talking about today. So obviously we're going to talk about a bit about the CDL. I just got to give a disclaimer though. The facts and the knowledge and the
breakdown,
all of that breakdown is not going to be as crazy clear today because as some of you may know, on the weekend I actually couldn't work the broadcast. I was very, very sick. I actually didn't get out of bed for the entire weekend, and I slept through most of the days because I was very, very sick with food poisoning. So yeah, I watched the games. I had them on all day in the background, and I paid attention to the scores on the TV, and kind of every time I woke up out of my sickness slumber, I was paying attention. I actually ended up going back and watching all of my analysts' breakdowns and stuff. So
that's cool.
I'd watch the death segments because they do a really, really great breakdown. Thanks, babe. Yeah. Thank you. Me too.
It was a rough weekend, huh?
Yeah, it was today's really the only day I'm feeling like I would say like 90% today.
Yeah, 90%, but then we get a nice 4 hours sleep because
we need 4 hours sleep.
We have contractors working on the basement. And contractors can be a struggle. No offense to any of you contractors out there, but just randomly showing up. Don't hear from you for a couple of days and randomly showing up at 8 o'clock in the morning.
They were telling us that they would be here on a certain day, wouldn't show up in the entire day at all. So that was really annoying because obviously we were at home and waiting. And then some days they'd show up at 8 in the morning without any kind of idea that they were. And I mean, like that, I'm not going to lie, it's really hard like doing that because it just, there's no plans. Like you can't make any plans and stuff. And it's for quite a long time, which is frustrating.
Especially with two dogs.
Especially with 2 dogs as well. It's not just like a case of that. We have to be on it downstairs. Like they get very loud and concerned when there's people at the door, especially early in the morning. So but tell you what though, it finished today. We get to paint and we're close to getting down there. I'm
curious, not to make you guys keep writing and tweeting or anything like that, but if you have any interesting stories with dealing with any kind of housework or contractors or any funny stories. Yeah, it doesn't have to be serious or terrible or anything like that. But I know I said this to my stream and I was amazed at how many people. Really? Oh yeah, it's just a normal, just welcome the homeowner life.
Wow.
Just every kind of. Yeah. That's why people say the best advice that I got from talking to people in my stream about it is when you find someone that's really good that you like and like respects you, respects your time, or just like is easy going or whatever the case may be, keep their number.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't let them go. That's what everyone said.
I'm not keeping this number. Yeah. No, that number's gone.
They did good work though.
They did do good work. It was just very frustrating, but at least they did some really, really good work. However, off the subject of that, but I was very sick, so I apologize. The breakdown's not going to be as intense, and I would just say more so detailed than anything. It's just going to be more kind of generic and stuff that I've watched back and things already. But I think that there's a lot to talk about here actually, because we went into this week having a lot of new starting lineup. 6 actually. 6 teams.
Is that how many it was?
6, Wow. 6 made changes. Not quite as heavy as London. London made a change of 2, which was cute. A few others, made some big changes as well. But we also had London making an SMG duo change, which is it literally changed the whole balance of your team when you do that. It's completely fresh, I think, anyway. But really, is there anything you want to start on, babes? I'm going to let you decide today. Which part of it do you want to start
on? I don't know. I'm kind of feeling. I don't know. I have a lot of things to say, but at the same time, not a lot to say because I feel like stuff kind of just went as expected, somewhat, for the most part for me. Other than Florida winning, which we'll talk about in a second, but Dallas picks up Vivid. Don't look good with Vivid. Not surprised. LA Thieves go back to TJ Haley in place of Hugh. They go 3-2 to Surge. I got to watch more of the games than you. Obviously, like live, I mean.
Yeah.
And Surge were really close to winning Game 3, and then they would have won Game 4, and they would have won the series. So just not super impressive. But at the same time, I do want to give teams some slack because it's going to take some time. But I just feel like a lot of the changes, other than London, none of the changes really did a whole lot for me. Would you say the same?
I would say the same.
Where do you want to start off?
I think we'll start off with some of the 3-0s.
Okay.
I think I'm seeing a lot of 3-0s in my head. Yep. And I think we'll start with those. So like let's talk about some of the big dogs that we kind of expected to come out and maybe come out to play a bit more. So we've got Ultra and Dallas to start with. Let's just talk about them because I think it doesn't matter what order we do stuff in. I gotta say, first of all, Ultra for me have kind of, I feel like haven't been as obviously dominant as the last stage, but I still think that there's the spark there for them. I still think they're really good. I just think that right now there's a lot of other teams that are trying to really prove themselves and push at this point.
You also need to remember too, Ultra went 3-2, I believe, last major with FaZe. I know the first series was 3-2. I think it was 3-2, 3-2, and FaZe won the whole thing.
Yeah, no.
So even though they didn't have like the same spark, they're a really good team.
Exactly.
Like they can win next major without obviously you got to land, but
I think that spark was dulled slightly coming into this stage because of the way that they went out in the major. I think that they were kind of, you have a clean record in your stage. You come into the major, you're hoping to go back to back, right? Winning these majors. And let's be honest, your stage is kind of reflecting the potential of doing that because of how clean that record is. And I think maybe they were just kind of disheartened by it, you know? I think they were like disheartened by it, and yeah, I think it might have caught them off guard a bit. But, you know, it's week one, shake off the jitters of coming back into a new stage and work through some of the problems. And I guess another thing is, if you're not making mistakes at this point, you have nothing to work on as a team. If you're going to make any mistakes, or you're going to take people to game fives, or you're going to lose against people, or whatever it may be, you're not going to have a perfect series. At least it's stuff to work on. It's stuff to work on. Like, you're not going to get overtaken at the last moment, which really kind of what happened to them in the major with FaZe.
Yeah, well, when you think about FaZe, like last stage, that was kind of like all the talk was, FaZe keeps dropping games and all this stuff. And really what they were doing is fixing themselves up a little bit.
They're also extending their map pool.
They're extending their map pool. They were working on stuff. They were fixing their gameplay. And then Major came. And, you know, I don't think FaZe by any means dominated. Like, you know, they lost to New York, obviously 3-2. They beat Ultra 3-2. They almost got reverse swept, which honestly, Ultra had a really good shot at winning that winners bracket match if CleanX didn't. I think it was CleanX, had the weirdest streak.
Yeah, he
right?
did.
It was him.
Yeah, it was him.
So it's like
Moscow.
Yeah. No, it was Garrison, wasn't it?
On streak?
Yeah.
Oh, I think they had another.
Oh, they had another one, maybe.
Had another one on Moscow.
Anyway,
you
know, the stage now, I think, has gotten to the point of people not trying to jump out the gates too quick and too on fire. It's more of a now heading into the end part of these seasons. I think it's a polishing up of what they need to work on.
Yeah.
You know?
I think just real quickly as well, just while it's in my head before I forget it was really interesting seeing Standoff come into play as well for S&D.
Cool.
And it was also interesting to see that, like, FaZe and Ultra both just couldn't handle it at all, which was really interesting because in their matchups they lost that quite convincingly with the search. Yeah.
I didn't know.
S&D Standoff.
I gave her like a shocked look. I had no idea.
When I spoke to RCTs about it,
yeah.
he had said that, you know, they had been practicing it, they'd been frying, but like it was completely different when they got
in a match.
Match time. They said like the pacing and stuff was totally off for them. Like, yeah. So,
which is, and I bet you'll see them keep picking it now.
Oh yeah, they will. They're going to keep working on it. Yeah, absolutely. I think just to keep into the, you know, the first topic we spoke about, it's hard to not veer off when you're talking about teams because you're talking about specific teams with their experiences with other teams too. So it's hard to not like actually have a verdict on one team without kind of veering off. You know what I mean? Yeah, and to talk about others because it all plays a part.
They get it. They understand.
I know. So Dallas, I think that's honestly right now one of the biggest talking points that we have in the league is our last season's champions who made potentially the most controversial change we've had this year, dropping Hook. And not just dropping him, but actually letting him go to LA Thieves, where now he has been benched. But they brought on Vivid. Now, Vivid, I mean, previously being dropped from, was it LAG?
Yeah.
LAG,
benched,
right?
Benched by LAG.
Then he moved over to Dallas, and now Dallas starting lineup. I gotta say, like, I mean no disrespect when I talk about, you know, I also do feel bad when I talk about players sometimes, especially in a negative way. But I've just got to say that I was very underwhelmed by the team, and not by Vivid in particular, just about how the team looked overall. Again,
they've lost their
mojo.
They've lost their mojo. They've lost their consistency. You know, this is a team that really never lost to underdogs. And really never, in my opinion, would get beat by underdogs before, and they'd only lose to top teams. They're one of the most consistent placing teams in CDL's history, obviously being now like a year and a half. With them replacing Huke, you're kind of seeing that go away of, you know, your permanent top three to you get a hard bracket in the major and your top six, and then you go into this stage and you pick up Vivid, and you go 3-2 with London, which is kind of like not great, but okay, like shake off the rust. I think Crimsix made a joke like, oh, we didn't play all last season, like sarcastically, obviously. Or not last stage. He was like, we took last stage off.
Yeah.
But so they win 3-2, and then they play Ultra, and those are the big matchups, because that's why you replaced Huke, is because you didn't feel like you could beat phase or ultra, I guess.
I
at
just
that
feel
point
like they looked so much better with Hook. Like
yeah,
they just did.
I think we you know, obviously again diving off into a different subject, but Hook is an insanely talented player that I think, I don't want to speculate like we talked about last week, but there's some kind of individual thing going on without question.
Still waiting for that YouTube video to come out.
Because LA Thieves made more comments about it and basically said like he's too individual of a player and he didn't fit our style. And like Dallas said something really kind of similar of like the whole mini-map thing.
What happened to that all of last season?
I know, that's what doesn't make sense, is like he's a world championship player. He's been amazing every year he's competed. Like, why is he now all of a sudden just not?
I wonder is he just not taking instruction on the map?
Yeah, that's what I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah,
I have a hard time with it. I don't know. That's why we need.
I mean, I know from your perspective. For example, let's just speculate or just hypothetically talk about it. Let's say it is that, and he's very individual on the map, and he's not really listening to very much in terms of like strats and stuff and the strat calling. As somebody on that team, like let's say, as the IGL, let's say you brought your role onto COD.
Right.
Well, how would you feel about that as that person? Like, if one of your teammates was doing that, how would you feel?
It would tilt me. It would piss me off. But at the same time, part of being a leader in game or, you know, management or anything like that is learning how to work with people and learning how to talk to people. Different people are managed different ways. Like Royal 2 and I, you know, we've been teaming 10 years. I can scream at Royal 2 and tell him he's an idiot and he made the wrong play or whatever. Actually, sorry. Let me rephrase that. With Lethal, I could say that. I could be like, Tej, you got to do this and whatever. Whereas like with Royal 2, I've always taken more of the approach of like less hostile and more like, yo,
right.
like, don't you think we should do this instead of this? And like, it kind of always clicks.
Why is that?
Just, it's a personality thing. And I don't know if that's like maybe Hugh is, you know, he's getting older. You know, he's getting older. He's becoming his own man, right? Maybe that's what it is, you know, not taking individual criticism great or something.
Yeah.
That's never been his MO though, which is really interesting. But as a IGL or, you know, a leader of a team, yeah, it would annoy you. But at the same time, we've talked about this. I wouldn't have replaced him because he's too good of a talent. If you can replace him for someone of equal skill, it's like, okay, you're going to get better. But when you're picking up people, I'm no offense to them. I got nothing against the guy, Fellow, Vivid, TJ Haley, Venom. I got nothing against them, but you're not better than Hugh. Like, sorry. Like, unless you start winning, that's the only way I'm going to probably say otherwise.
Yeah. I think he's like an X factor, isn't he?
Even on LA Thieves, on 2 weeks, he was literally doing stuff that you're like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I'm not saying that about the other guys.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I am underwhelmed by Dallas currently.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the best of them. I don't want them to lose. I want them
to
best
turn
for them.
Around.
Me too.
I like Shotzi a lot. I've always been friends with Krim.
I think they're all extremely talented, all of them. It's just there needs to be some kind of like happy unison. There's no balance there currently. There's no like, I just don't see a spark when they play. I don't see like fire. You know what I mean? The way that I saw last time.
Illy hasn't been the same player at all. No. Which is, I think, a big. I'll be honest. I think that's been their problem.
Yeah.
I think that
actually, Illy was going off actually in the AR role.
This week.
Yeah, this week, the first match that they played. He was actually incredible.
With Fellow specifically, like as the SMG. I'm not surprised he's doing good again with the AR, but you know they tried doing that swap.
Well,
and it didn't
Vivid's
work.
down the SMG.
Yeah,
sorry.
no, I know, so I'm not surprised back as an AR he's doing good.
Oh no, exactly. Well, he needed to be back as an AR
that's what I mean.
Very badly. But at the time when he did swap, he wasn't doing particularly well as an AR. It's just like, I think it's more suited to him. It's what he knows. It's what he won a championship on. Like, that's who he is.
Maybe
he's an AR player.
Maybe you said he was frying. With the AR. Maybe it'll start to click.
He was like, I would say, honestly, borderline carrying.
Yeah. Well, maybe if that's the case, then maybe it'll start to click for them.
Because when he clicks, like it's like Illy goes off, and that's the fire I'm looking for from him. But it just, I don't know. At times it just goes out in terms of the whole team, not just him. But moving on, just really quickly, going to breeze over Atlanta FaZe because they're doing really well. I think they're in the right direction as per usual. I think they're doing great in terms of expanding their map pool. I mean, even just looking at their map pool against Optic Chicago, every single map was different.
Yeah.
They are prepared for everything, or they try to be, or at least they may not be prepared for everything at this point. This is what they do so well.
Yeah.
That they force themselves to play it competitively. They push themselves. And I think that's what they've learned losing the second major.
It's the benefit of being one of the best teams, period, is your worst is still better than some people's best or good or whatever.
Yes.
And you're just getting those reps, and all of a sudden...
They are 100 CDL points above second place.
Yeah, practice.
Above. There is a 100-point gap. It's huge.
That's crazy.
But on the other side of this phase, because I don't want to spend too much time talking about them, we have Optic.
OG.
Now, this is something that I want to talk about because I feel like it's been at the forefront of our conversation on the podcast a lot. I'm pleasantly surprised, especially after the first series that they had. So looking back on the week, Optic faced Rocker at the beginning, and I was really impressed with what I saw. I felt like I saw like a lights out Optic once again. Like, let's be perfectly honest here. Minnesota are not an easy team. They're not. They're not fantastic right now, but I would say like they're not easy to perform against. They're not. Like, no matter what it's saying, they're not being big dogs, but I'm telling you right now, it's not like it's really not easy to beat them.
Yeah, no, I think they're a tough opponent for sure, but they're just not in that top caliber anymore.
They're not. They're not.
Which is why if Optic didn't beat them, I'd be really concerned.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But I'm happy, and like I feel like it's promising in terms of like the way it turned out.
Hardpoint was close. 6-2 S&D, sorry. Is that on standoff? That was on standoff.
That was on standoff. Now, something that I absolutely loved, because I actually work these days, something I loved about this S&D game was Envoy. And I actually tweeted about him twice. Yeah. And it's not often I tweet about a player twice. Yeah. You know that something's happening special in that series with a player. Yeah. He was the most perfect rat player in S&D, and I think honestly that's what he does best. That's what he's known for.
100%.
He's known for being that rat player, that flanker in S&D. That's what he does really well, and he did the most perfect strat and the most perfect flank to literally get them way ahead of the game, and Minnesota didn't know what to do with it. Like, they just didn't know where they were coming from. So I was really impressed because I feel like it was pre-planned, some of the stuff that he was doing with the team, and like they'd really taken into consideration this brand new search map and were like, okay, this is potentially where we could be super great right now, is if we can get standoff coming in, because a lot of people might be playing it. If they can get some really, really good strats down, unreadable stuff, then they're ahead of the game. And I felt like that's exactly what happened. Would
you say on S&D in particular, he's like their like X factor? I feel like he is.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like when he has his routes working, he's hitting flanks and getting
route
3
man gets
pieces.
Paid.
Yeah, route man gets paid. He's hitting flanks and getting 3 pieces and 2 pieces, and Envoy's behind him again.
Yeah, game changers. I mean, there was this one moment that was so amazing. It's actually where I tweeted. Standy's actually in the shop, and Envoy literally crouches under a wall right past him, and it was the most perfect. He couldn't see him at all, not one bit, and it was perfect. And that was the route he was taking. Hops up through the window down onto the roof and literally kills Priester from behind, and it was perfect. It was literally perfect. They had no idea. Backs to him. It was perfect. It was perfection. Another thing I want to talk about with Optic as well is like their respawns, because like that was something that they actually had to keep working on as well. Like, I feel like for them it was more like a balance. It was like when S&D was pretty good, their respawns were struggling. When their respawns were great, their S&D was struggling. Like it's for them, it's finding that balance of being able to control both of them to a point where you can win series against the likes of Ultra, against the likes of FaZe. Speaking of, when they got to FaZe, damn, they weren't ready. Yeah. Weren't ready for that. Yeah. That smoke.
It's tough when you're going against the best. I mean, I don't know.
What did you make of it?
Right now, they just can't hang with them. And I don't necessarily think that, like, heading into the major, I don't necessarily think it's guaranteed FaZe is going to win and whatever. FaZe are just top tier. And Optic has yet to... I am really, really happy with where OG's at, because I think that they are solidified, give or take, like top 4, give or take, coming into the major and having that losers run that they did and making to the top 4. And they lost, round 11 to Ultra. But I don't, if they make it past Ultra, I don't think they're beating FaZe, which is, for me, for someone who wants to see them win, that's the concerning thing, is like, they're really good and they can be really good, but when are they going to kick it into the gear of like, we're the best again? We're the best. We can win this. And you could say last stage that they kind of had it, but I don't know. It just felt like it was a crazy run, but I just don't think I don't think they were going to beat New York or FaZe,
Yeah.
Which is why it would have been cool if they beat Ultra, but I almost feel like maybe it was a good thing that they didn't, because I think if they would have beat Ultra and then got like beat down by FaZe, which could have happened, I think it would have just been demoralizing. Them losing a stage match, I'm not super worried about,
Yeah,
like losing
especially
a match
at this
to
point.
FaZe.
Especially at this point. I mean,
early on.
If you also like think about their match, okay, it must have been pretty difficult coming up against FaZe, because, like, for example, in your last series, you weren't touched on control. You won 3-0.
Yeah.
On raid. You come up against Atlanta FaZe knowing that the third game that you're playing, which is a definite spin in any series, because you can win the first two, but you still got to win that control, otherwise you are in trouble to having a reverse sweep potentially as well. But regardless of that, like, it must have been so hard in terms of just like thinking about what to do. Atlanta FaZe are number one controlled team in the league. They are unbelievable on control, and they win 3-0 most days. They're 23-7 on control.
Wow.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is that for an entire season.
I feel like you probably say that about like all their stats. You know what I mean?
Not
actually, but you get my point. Like,
well, they're number one for S&D, they're number two for hardpoint. Yeah, they are, and game records, they're number one.
Yeah.
So they are incredible, but you just...
that game
I
three.
think in specific, like, especially in terms of the ratios and stuff, the control is just unbelievable.
Well, there's only one
ratio.
There's only one control, which is why that win-loss is impressive.
Yeah, and
there's only one.
It's also their highest win percentage,
yeah, exactly.
So it's like, it's even more so impressive than everything else.
Yeah.
All the other accolades they have this season. But I think for Optic, it is like a roadblock. You come up against this team now where it's like, this is a true test.
Yeah.
Like, are you ready enough? I mean, it's week one of stage 4.
And here's the scary part.
Yeah.
They're not getting worse on LAN.
No, they're not.
Because, like, that's kind of been, like, the argument for people. Like, you can make the argument, Optic, take Ultra around 11. Optic got a good chance winning. At a LAN event, they got a good chance at winning that series. Like at a LAN, I'll give it to them. I'm not the biggest advocate of LAN online and all that stuff. Yeah. But like at an event, something that close, that can go either way, 100%. And Ultra, not tested, not a tested team at a LAN event. That FaZe team, people forget, they were pretty good on LAN last year. Yeah. Before the pandemic and everything. So that's, you have a big roadblock in front of you being FaZe, and it's scary because they're not going to get worse.
No.
So if your game's not a point,
might, you never know. But
you never know. But it
doesn't
seem like they're.
I mean, you can't. The stats for the
last
whole season,
year,
the consistency is amazing.
Around this time, they were starting to, especially with that switching to online play, they were going on that trajectory down. Like other team last year is like every team winning, like it was Florida's winning, Toronto's winning. There's just so many teams winning events last year. I think New York won one, Optic win, or Huntsman win, FaZe win, Dallas wins, crazy. But this year it's just not looking that way.
Yeah. The one thing that I would say about Optic, just to round off them, is, first of all, I really do hope that they do win a major. Yeah. I think so cool. They have probably dreamed of that. I think that's what they're working towards. Second of all, I would say I think it is admirable that they have kept with their roster. I think that shows a lot, and actually I think that in turn will come back to work in their favor.
You think
at some point. I do. I
hope so.
I think so. I think because all they're doing is gaining inside knowledge of each other and like what each other need to do, and they're growing as a team, they're growing as individual players. What they're going to do is just continue to adapt to one another, and like if at this moment in time they are in a headspace with each other where it's still working functionally as a team, then they're in a good place, because they're just going to continue to improve. If all 4 of them can see eye to eye and know what they have to do individually to make it work as a unit, then that's only just going to keep getting stronger. So I just want to say that's admirable from them.
Yeah.
Especially because you see the other teams that haven't made changes, like FaZe, for example, who winning. Yeah. So it's a very different story. And then the last thing I would say is I was actually very impressed with Formal's interview and the way that he spoke about FaZe, because I asked him about, facing FaZe, it'd be great if you could win that.
They got a good rivalry going.
Your group would be great. They do have a good rivalry, but I would say that he said, like, he respects them. They're incredible players. Like, we're going to try our best. And I don't know. I felt like I felt like a new level of maturity from Formal when I heard that, and it made me think in my head, like, oh, it's game time for these guys now.
Yeah. Like,
they may not win this series, and they probably are aware of that, which is probably why he gave me such a mature, like, kind of relaxed answer about it. But like, they are like, we are trying to get this done this season. Like, well, I think we're gonna go as far as we can.
I think Formal's in I don't want to say captain role now, but he obviously, Matt's been competing for a ridiculously long time. Accolades speak for themselves. He's teaming with 2 guys who are kind of new and don't have those accolades and doesn't have that experience yet. So, I think he probably has to be.
Yeah, I think so as well. But yeah, it's been exciting. Now, last couple things. I think we'll just breeze through it because we're spending too long again on COD. But New York Subliners looking great. Really excited about them. Their respawns look really, really good still. I think their S&D needs a bit of work. But to be fair, LAG does have an incredible S&D record. They're 3rd in the league. Yeah. So, and they did actually manage to take down FaZe on like their favorable map last stage. I'm pretty sure it was
2 S&Ds, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. So, yeah.
I feel like NYSL, same old. Respawn's looking great. Search can use a little work, but they showed in the major they've been working at it. Exactly. And that's why they were in the finals.
Exactly. So I'm excited to see more of them. Now, London, Afro and Alex coming on, the two new guys, the sub duo, well, I suppose new, but Alex obviously coming back into the league once again. An extremely, extremely talented SMG player. We saw what he could do for Minnesota Rocker back last season. When he was on LAN, he was ridiculous as well. Just absolute force to be reckoned with. Afro, a little bit more of an unknown entity coming in. But you know what? They work really well with each other. The aggression was there from the duo. Alex is a lot more clinical and kind of like pristine with his play. And I think it worked really well with like a little bit more of a dirty player like Afro, which is kind of what I wanted him to be. So I was impressed with that. London have a long ways to go. They have literally just changed up half of their roster. Stuff needs to be cleaned up. It is just the normal. But
yeah, they've had a rough break this year. I feel like Alex is a starter. Like straight up, he's a starter. I said that for the second I think he had a family emergency or something, and he had to take. I think that's what it was. He had to take some time away.
Yeah.
He's a starter. He belongs in the league, and it's good to see him back. And I think he'll continue to do amazing things.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And then I think a couple of other things. Classic coming in for Decimate for Surge. I think that's that's a big one for Surge. I felt like we were so close to seeing a control game go in their favor. It just didn't happen. But I think with a little bit of time, I think the change will serve them well. It's just going to take a little bit of time to see these really come into their own confidence, because when you make a team change, you have to adapt no matter what. Like, you can either honeymoon, or you're like, okay, we're not honeymooning, but this can work, but we just need to adapt and to really kind of figure out what we do as a team, what our strengths are, what you can do for us, what we can do for you, vice versa. Last thing to talk about, LA Thieves bringing back TJ.
Yeah.
What did you make of it?
I want to give them a little bit more time. We kind of talked about it a little bit, so there's no need to focus on it, but not massively impressed. 3-2 really could have gone Surge's way.
Yeah.
Just
close control game.
Just I don't know. I want to give them more time. I think people. I don't know. just gotta wait.
Yeah.
Gotta wait. There's nothing else to say. Do you feel the same?
Yeah.
Like, just gotta wait and see.
That's what I've said for most of these changes.
Yeah.
You just have to wait at the moment. You just have to wait. And I tell you what, because 6 teams have made changes, we do have to wait, because actually we're not going to see true forms yet, especially when they're going against each other. When we're getting people who have made changes Florida. Going against each other.
Not making a change.
Big shout out to Florida.
Going 2-0.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about Florida yet.
Yeah,
oh my God.
You know, it's all right.
Florida,
it's okay.
Actually
Got
unbelievable stuff. I would say though, the potential reverse sweep was quite terrifying.
Yeah.
To say the least, with Ultra. And at one point I was like,
Game 5
was
looking scary too.
It was looking chalked, wasn't it? 3-0 down in the S&D game 5.
I closed out. I stopped watching. Oh, straight up, I stopped watching.
I'm not joking. I was preparing for an interview with
2-0. I was like, with
Insight or Florida's
about to do this, and then it goes Game 5. Toronto's up, and I'm like, well.
I was like, well,
that sucks.
Caesar, let's go. Yeah. Interview time with guys.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy.
Good for them though.
Very good for them. Anyway, it was very interesting to watch that happen. And you know what, good on them for doing it to Ultra, because Ultra are a really fierce team at the moment. They're really good.
Solid.
They're very solid.
Just consistent. You
had to play very good COD to be able to do that.
Exactly.
Very good COD. Especially to be able to pull yourself out of an S&D loss, down 3.
Yeah. That's a big win for them.
Very
like a big confidence boosting,
Very big. Well, I'll tell you what, it was a really fun week for the 2 days I was part of it. It was a really miserable end of the week.
Back to normal.
Back to normal, folks. Back to normal.
It happens.
Tell you what, it sucks to be sick. I'm just going to say it. But
you'd rather be doing the matches than be sick any day.
I was actually, it's funny. The second day I was working, I actually had it then.
Yeah.
I felt horrific. Like, I literally had to, this is TMI, so I'm just going to say it very kind of more not really into detail, but I had to leave the room a few times. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. Between segments, I felt awful. Yeah. But we're back on the mend. So we are going to talk about next a bit of Halo. Yeah. You're hearing right, folks? Bit of Halo's coming in. We get very excited when we get to talk about Halo, because obviously right now we do talk a lot about COD because that's something that's happening. We've got a full-blown season going on that I'm a part of, and this podcast is about us and our life and what we're doing. And PJ is a big part of that with me. We talk about COD every single morning because it just fills the household, doesn't it? And obviously Halo coming into the mix, with Infinite coming out, it will be literally 50-50. So we'll have a lot more to talk about there. But you actually took part in the MV2v2 tournament. Mm-hmm. I was damn well proud of you in that I caught a lot of, what you're doing. And I couldn't say, honestly, I was just blown away by your playing. I really was. You were amazing. What was it like playing 2v2? Because obviously it's very different from what you normally do. And you can let loose, have a bit of fun more. So what was it like?
Yeah, it was a lot more chill. So it was Frosty and I playing in it. It was a 4-team invitational. Frosty and I don't play 2s. I think the last 2v2 I played was in 2019.
Did you practice at all?
No one would practice against us. We couldn't get them. We tried to get matches. No one would play. I don't think it's I don't think it's someone purposely not playing against us. It's they do a lot of money matches and stuff. And obviously we're not going to bet because we don't play, So I think it was more of okay, well they're not going to bet. So nah. Yeah. It's not like it's anyone's fault or anything, but we tried to practice. We couldn't. We did good though. We got third. Had really close series with every team. The team we beat, Boo Boo and Septify, we 3-0'd them. It wasn't super close, but the other two that we lost were really close matches. I was happy with how I played. It was chill.
You were great.
I think Brad and I just had a really good mentality going into it of it's all good.
Well, you play with each other for such a long time now, so many years. It's
there's not that pressure of
no, and the way that I could see you guys working, obviously you could see that the two of you were a little bit rusty when it came to people like Sane and Trippy and people who play 2v2 all the time, because it is a different, it's a different kettle of fish there. Different. But what you could see, which is why you guys were keeping it in the you were keeping yourselves in the game. Obviously, sheer raw talent as one, but second of all, you guys know each other in and out. So the communication is super there. What you're going to do. You guys know what you're going to do.
Communication was on point.
So many times I felt like there was times where you would overtake the lead, or you guys would make a break for it in terms of breaking away with the points when you'd catch them in a trap. It was perfect. You'd get one guy super weak, you'd start going on the other guy, Frosty would clean up that one, or vice versa. It was beautiful. Like the movement was great.
That's how 2v2s are. It's a lot of like splitting.
Yeah, it is. A lot of baiting, splitting, damaging.
Which is why when you don't
playing your life, but then someone coming in full shield.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why when you don't have practice, it's really difficult. Yeah, it was just fun. Just good time, you know. Happy with how I'm playing. Really, my focus is Infinite and how I'm playing heading into Infinite, you know? So I feel like my game's in a really good spot. Communication's in a good spot. Headspace good. So yeah, it's just fun. Just fun. Good communication. It's always fun playing with Frosty, so.
I mean, of course it is. He's like a, you know, classic clip man. That's what I call him. You know, but it is fun. Like the two of you just get to let loose and have a bit of fun with it, and it's nothing crazy serious, but just, you know, something to do. And I'm gonna say I was very impressed. I mean, I am. Every time I watch you play, I'm always just like, wow. I don't know about everybody else, and I can say this, but I feel like he's one of the most underrated, like freaking incredible players like ever.
You are very biased, but I appreciate it.
I'm really not biased though, but like I understand why you'd think that, but I'm really not.
I don't know, because like the reason why I say you're biased is because you say like underrated, and I get what you mean, because like I don't get the most spotlight. I just don't think
people see what actually it happens on your screen, or I also don't think people see what you can do. Yeah. Because I don't think you even get to show what you can do.
No, I mean, obviously I don't.
But like there are moments in like really important matches that I've seen from you across Halo 5, across even just some of the Halo 5 tournaments here in the build up to Infinite and the wait, where like moments will happen and you will like take charge of like small tiny little moments in a game that will change the whole game around, and it's like incredible to watch. Like you just do it with ease, and it's just like, but you know what to do. Like you're so smart as well as like talented. It's incredible.
Thank you, I appreciate it. It's just easy.
Combination.
Thank you, I appreciate it. It's
just
it's
easy.
On
this side.
It's really easy with our team. You know, just easy with our team. It feels just natural, and I guess that's me. I don't know.
You're so humble. You're so humble. I think you're the GOAT, man. I know you don't like that phrase. I'm just saying you are.
You know how I feel about that word.
I know I do. I know you do.
How dare.
So something else that's really, really exciting coming up as well. 4v4 is coming back. So you're going back to more of what you used to. 4v4. Halo 5. We've got the send off with the Sentinels tournament. First of all, shout out to Sentinels winning.
Shout out Sen, baby.
Valorant Masters. Masters 2 without dropping a map.
Incredible.
Thing I want to say about that for me, I'll let you comment on it as well, is Sentinels picked up the right team for Halo, because I'm just going to say it's just a bunch of winners on that org.
That's what I think that's like kind of what they're going for over there. You know, they're awesome, man. You know what's so cool with Sen, and I felt this way about with being with Optic before, is like it's just cool being able to want the org to succeed and want the players that are on it to succeed, and you know, just because they treat us so well, and I know a lot of them, not necessarily like the Valorant guys. I don't know the Valorant guys per se, but if you're on Sen, like you're a really cool person, and like they like you work hard, and you're, you know, they have such a work ethic to them with all the graphics that they put out and content, and all their teams work so hard, you know. So that's what, when I say cool person, I just mean like you're working hard at what you do. So I just respect everyone's in the org, and it's really cool getting to root for them. And yeah, went out and won first international event, didn't drop a map, sent up full send.
Full send. I love that so much. Full send. That's cool, right? You told me that last episode. It's so freaking cool. I gotta say though, I feel like Sen really look after you guys a lot. I feel like they're really good at like looking after you. I feel like as an org, I think there's a lot of downfalls to an org, and there's a lot of like pros and cons. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a business.
It is a business after all, so it can be sometimes hard. But I do feel like they do an incredible job of looking after you guys.
I mean, like easiest thing you could say is, you know, with the infinite delay, the way that they handle it. You know, we were working on our new contracts for Infinite, and I mean, the delay hits, and it's so easy. And, you know, I know it actually happened to some people for orgs to go back on their deal and, you know, reevaluate and, I mean, you know, look at the scene differently, and rightfully so, because I get it. I'm not no harsh feelings to anyone who did feel that way. But, you know, we had a conversation with them, and they were just like, we love you guys. It's not your fault. You know, let's just keep going forward with this. And, you know,
that's amazing.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, the love we get from them, you know, they have believed in us since 2020, and realistically, they're not going to get to watch us play a major event until 2022.
Yeah.
And it's like how hard we want to work because of just even more because of that. It shows you how powerful like it can be, you know, like an org believing in you. And I think that's what I mean. It goes to that, like everyone on the team, like, you know, across the board, the content creators, the players on all the other teams, the graphic designers, like everyone. It's like I said before, not to sound like a broken record, but it's like you just want to work even harder because you're surrounded by a group that just is crushing it and want you to do well.
Yeah, absolutely.
For you, not for them, for you.
They're great. I really, really like them. And I think it's, you know, I think it's amazing that for Infinite, there's an influx of brand new orgs, like old orgs coming back, brand new orgs coming in, some big names also coming in for Infinite. And I think it's awesome that Sentinels are one of those. And I also think for you guys, as a double world championship team, who, let's be honest, it's not just those that you've got under your belt. You've got tons and tons and tons of event wins across the board of so many different Halos.
Yeah, we've been playing a couple Halos now.
Yeah, you've been playing a while. You know, it's really cool for you guys to also choose Sentinels, who, let's be honest, were a little bit of more of an unknown kind of org coming into things, especially before Valorant and before some of like the other things that they ventured in. And I just think it's cool that you've chosen them and that this has been a relationship that you're forming now. And it's cool because you got to start somewhere. Like, you know, you guys are like the best team. Yeah. Have been the best team for a very long time. And like people who want to disagree with me, go ahead. But I'm sorry, it's facts. It is facts.
Well, I mean, like, you know, there are winning teams, but like, you know, I just think to what you're saying, it's just our consistency over time. You can't really argue.
I just feel like a lot of people might have thought that you guys would choose like Cloud9 or some of the teams, you know, some of the orgs that have kind of really already made a household name for themselves. I just think it's really cool, really original that you guys are going on this journey with Sentinels.
I'll tell you something, and obviously tell everyone, you know what was the biggest reason why we went with Sen? Is because when we messaged them, they just instantly responded back. Because a lot of times what happens with this stuff, with messaging orgs and everything, is like, you know, we put out that this is like back in 2019 now, right? Yeah. Of like, okay, we're going to look for an org, or maybe it's like early 2020. Okay, we're going to look for an org. And you hear from some people and they
sometimes come to you, but then you don't hear from them.
So like you hear from them and they want to sign you and talk to you and everything. But then it's just this, oh my God, delayed milk process that you've seen where it's like, you know, you want us to sign with you, but you like don't get back to me for like 2 weeks. And then you like act like all is good, you know. With Sen, it was like I message you, you reply, and I was like, whoa, like I'm not joking. That's how it was. My boy Charlie, shout out Charlie. Yeah, I don't know if he'll listen to this, but literally like Sean now recommended us to them, and when him being as amazing as he was with contacting me and our team, I felt so respected, and I was like,
that's personable.
I was like, this is sick. I'm like, you know, like,
this is what you want. This is what you look for.
And our team, especially, I find, you know, our team now, obviously, I feel like we're a really professional team. And it's like, hey, if I message you about something, I need an answer. I need it taken care of. And then because I got to focus on this. I can't be worrying about that. You
want to focus on what your job is.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why, you know, they do that. And that's shout out to them.
I love that. Shout out Sentinels.
Can't say it enough.
Full Sen.
Shout out Charlie.
Shout out Charlie. Shout out Sean. Shout out Sen. Shout out the Orgona. What's the Orgona's name? I can't remember. Rob. Yeah. Shout out Rob.
There's a lot. There's a whole group. There's a whole shebang of them. Everyone just amazing. Brandon, Kez.
Speaking about there's something like the added topic at the end. You know, we always have like the kind of one-on-one conversation about something. I was thinking of having a conversation about retirement because we've talked about, you know, jobs before on here. We talked about what it's like being with a player and like kind of the, you know, your story and your origins and stuff. But I think something that is not really talked about that much, I would say, is retirement. And like, I would say, you know, it's something that you don't really have a choice about in esports as a pro player. Like
most people,
because it's physical a lot of the time. Like, for example, you don't have a choice. You can't play forever. Like you can't play. I don't feel like you can play. Just wait. You know what I'm saying. Like you can't really play for as long as somebody who's doing something else, like, a realtor or a desk job or something that doesn't require like a physical talent, like physical with their hands, or something that's actually like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because obviously it is a talent doing whatever you do with your job. But I think with this, it's more like a physical thing, like it's like an athlete or something would do as well. I feel like you don't have a choice of when your body just suddenly, your coordination goes, your hands don't work anymore.
It's kind of the
you're
same
not
as
fast.
an athlete, somewhat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's not the same as a desk job or an entrepreneur or a businessman. You can do that for as long as you want. You decide when you retire for stuff like that because your brain's still ticking. But for you guys, for pro players, it's different because it's a physical thing. It's when your body stops doing what it does best is when it happens. So my first question to you is, are you nervous about not having your say in when you retire? Like, are you nervous that like you could potentially have to retire at any point, just depending on like a physical thing, that your body just won't work anymore?
Nah, I'd say no. I just think it's one of those things, you come to terms with it overall. We've kind of had this conversation before of, I definitely want to do stuff to like set myself up. But I think the reality of it is when you're competing, especially, you just have goals that you want to reach. And I feel like I've reached a lot of those goals. And now I have new goals. But if I ever had to step away from gaming, the proudest thing for me is like, I'm not looking back on the past, 20 years, 20 years of my life and regretting it. Even if it was like, oh, hurt my hand, can't play anymore, I can move on from it and be really, really happy. There is a nerve-wracking side somewhat of like, you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You could play a new game and not be good at the game, and then you're scrambling for teams and all that stuff. But I don't know. I think worrying about it is somewhat silly because what can you do other than take care of yourself and make sure you're ready to play? What are you going to do? That's why I take it as serious as I do. Yeah. Because it's my job.
So based on people and obviously like the way that you've gone through your career in Halo, and you've seen a lot of, I would say, some of the greats in Halo when you were like a kid go through that process of retiring. You've also kind of seen like Clay talk a little bit about like age and like, what he does to try and combat like all preventative stuff for what he needs as he's getting older. Because I don't think he's not 30 yet, is he? But he's approaching his 30s, right?
I think 29.
Yeah,
Snakedown's 30.
Yeah, so...
And Ola's turning 29, I believe.
I don't know if you've ever spoken to anybody who has retired in Halo or whatever about any of this. I don't know if that's a conversation you ever have, but like, what are some of the signs, would you say, that start showing like, oh, I might not have this anymore?
I think the two most common is hand pain, typically. Right. And you just lose kind of like your drive, like your will to compete, your touch. Yeah. Like what makes you you. And when you've been doing it for a long time, that's why, we had a conversation, I think it was the last time we did an audio podcast.
Yeah.
It was. Where I talked about like, the setting the small goals and being competitive and the small goals that you set for yourself. But, retirement is usually, it's three things. Either you're not good anymore because what's the reasoning of that? Is it just you don't love the game anymore, or is it you're just starting to fall off, or what's the case, right? Some of that could be hand pain, interest, or some people just happens. I don't think there's necessarily an answer. The tragic one is obviously hand pain. People starting to have issues with their hands and just slowly takes a toll. But
yeah, I would say so. My last question about this is going to be, what is your ideal path after pro? Would you say when you have to retire? What's your ideal thing? Do you know yet? Do you even know yet?
No, I don't think I do. Is
it businesses? Is your own business?
Yeah,
is it something to do with esports?
Yeah, I think like the interesting part with me is like I just have so many things that I want to do. I'd love to be a streamer and content creator and form different businesses through that. And then there's a side of me that's like, well, I want to go do the talent side of it and be a caster or analyst. I don't think I'd be a good caster. I think I'd be an okay analyst, but and then there's the other part of me that's like, I want to do nothing with video games. You know what I mean? I don't think that's realistic for me personally. Like, I've been playing too long to probably not try to take advantage of the position I've got myself into now. I mean, we'll see how the next couple of years go. I don't know, but I think like streaming is probably my favorite. Streaming and content creating are probably my favorite go-tos, but it's kind of a cliche answer. I feel like it's pretty typical, but you know me, like when I stream and do content, kind of even like with the podcast, like I really like making a connection with people. It's different to competing. And I put out a tweet recently about that. Like when I stream, like I don't always want to be the competitor snakebite. Like I just like streaming and like chilling out and talking to people, and you know, I give people advice, and you know, like it's fun. Like it's fun to me. But you know, competing takes its toll on it for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for giving me a little insight on the part of
I think you'll see people play to later and later ages for sure.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Because the reason why hand pain has occurred so much, and even people like losing their drive, is because of the mental toll of life, right? But nowadays, these gamers, including myself, are getting paid full time to do this thing, and that's something that really has only been a thing in the last probably like 6 years.
So they can actually go and look after themselves.
Now you got players, you know, like kind of like we've seen Clay talk about, and you know, I know Frosty does, and you know, there's a whole list of players are starting to really look after themselves because they now see the longevity of it. Before it was like, you know, college, and before it was like, okay, you know, you're a pro gamer when you're 18, but like now you got to go to college because you know, or then you have a serious girlfriend and you're gonna get married. And it's like, okay, well, you know, being 20 and making, I mean, if gaming was your job back then, when there were no orgs, I mean, you had to be winning to have it as an actual, to provide for like your family or even yourself at that point. You had to be like winning back in like 2010, right? Now it's like 1 through 8, you're making a good living and you can keep doing it, and you know what I mean?
I feel you. I do feel you. I think it's like you have to take care of everybody no matter what you do, but it's very equally important with like a repetitive thing that you're doing, especially with your hands, like arthritis and stuff. It can cause that because it's a repetitive movement. I
need everyone to knock on wood for me, because thank you,
there you go,
because I haven't had any issues yet. So
wait, hold on. There we go. I think I did it 4 times. I was like, nope, that's not going to do.
3.
APG would kill me. Yeah, that's why I said I think I did it 4. APG would not be happy with me if he heard that.
3 is the magic number.
3 is the magic number. 3 is the magic number. Goodness, that's like an advert in the UK. Anyway, so I'm going to rate the coffee. You want to rate our coffee?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give Starbucks a solid 8.
For that one specifically.
Yeah. I think really easy on the go. I think it's personally really, really delicious. And you know, it's just easy. It's easy. You go and get it. It's super chill. It's really yummy. The only thing I would say about Starbucks sometimes is the downside to it is sometimes they can burn the coffee, and that just you can tell instantly when that happens, but sometimes they don't, and it tastes wonderful.
We're real coffee snobs here now.
We're real coffee snobs now.
Don't burn the coffee.
Don't burn the coffee, Starbucks, Mr. Bucks. Yeah, but actually it's a woman. It's actually a woman, Mrs. Bucks. It's a woman on the cups, isn't it? She's like a mermaid.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a question. You know, is that lady a mermaid on the Starbucks logo?
I don't know.
I'd love to know what you guys, know about this.
You made it this far.
Is she a Starbucks? Do
you have the answer?
Is she a Starbucks mermaid? is she a mermaid?
She is Starbucks.
I feel like she might be a mermaid.
I would rate the coffee.
Yeah.
I'd give it an 8. And then if you want to make it an 8.5 to a 9, make sure you get some foam.
An extra foam.
Some extra foam.
Yeah, if you want to be a bit cheeky. Like you're not worried about, the cows and the health and stuff like that.
I don't know how many calories that actually adds in.
I think it probably adds like a little
100
more.
maybe or something.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Make it about 200.
Yeah.
About 2. It's not terrible. But yeah, delish. Absolutely delish. I love it.
Drop your order.
Yeah, please drop your Starbucks order. I'm very curious now. Very curious. But without further ado, thank you so much for watching watching. Thanks so much for listening. I mean, I'm so used to saying watching
Hopefully
sometimes.
We'll be in the new setup next week.
Yeah, I'm really hoping we will. We're going to try and get it as ready as we possibly can. But we're really looking forward to being in our new setup and getting everything ready and done and dusted.
We'll do video next week, no matter what, though.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't work out that way.
We're definitely going to try. It just depends on where the transition is in terms of all our equipment and stuff. So We'll definitely try. But thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We love you so much. Let us know all your thoughts, feelings, your emotions, your opinions, your everything. Let it all out in the comments. Why not? This place is a freedom of speech, but only nice things.
I love our comment section. I say it every week. I love our comment section.
Me too. I find it's actually one thing I'm like gravitate towards. I wake up 8 a.m. on a Wednesday and I'm like, quickly have a look. I love it.
And
I just
our
love
social
it.
media in general. Just
I know.
Awesome.
People are wonderful. You guys are wonderful. You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much. Have an incredible rest of your Wednesday. Have a wonderful week as well. And we will see you guys in the next episode. As always, stay on the grind.